we hear this word, we are lay people, no? When you start, well, that's what Rachel said, no? Look into the history of the church. The first time that this word was used, Laos, was to define the believers, the worshipping community, which means the priests, the bishops, the lay people. The early Christians were different from the non-believer, different from the foreigner, different from the aliens. The terminology to call all of us is Laos, people of God. That's why Laos is a special place in my heart. The little ones, the poor, the forgotten ones. No? So it didn't mean the word priest, clergy and laity didn't exist in the beginning of the church. It only started to come in the 4th century. No? And even what we understand today as priest, religious lay, was only happened after 1,000 years of church history. For the first 1,000 years, there was no differentiation. And you know, there was not just priests, clergy and lay people, or priests, religious and lay people. There was at least 5 groups of people in the church. There was the emperors, the kings, the queens, who had a very important role in the life of the church. So they were not considered ordinary people. They had a special calling, a special vocation. There was the monks, who were not clergy, who were not religious, who were lay by nature, but special because they lived a monastic life. Another group of people. Then you had lay people, you had the religious, you had the priests. So at least there were 5 or more different groups. So just to say that even this evolution of this word has been wrongly used. Now we say, you know, you're lay, we are clergy. Where does the clergy come from? The same womb, the same mother church as you and me. We've forgotten where we come from. You know, in Asia we say, in Malay there's a saying, no, jangan seperti kacang lupakan kulit. Don't be, or even worse, jangan seperti pagar makan padi. That you forget your roots and you hurt the body. Don't be like peanut that forgets its skin. Or don't be like the fence that you put to protect the paddy, but it ends up eating the paddy. Ministries in the early church. In the early church, well, very simply, very short, the most important roles was the episcopal, or the overseer, what we say today, the bishop, and the deacons. Most of the bishops were chosen from the deacons. Priesthood was not as important as it is today. And bishops could be called and ordained directly from the lay people. Because the belief, and you know, those days, when you wanted to elect a bishop, you pray to the Holy Spirit, and whoever the people say, we want Mehul will become the bishop. Doesn't matter if you're married, you are still eligible. Why? The belief that what came from the people was coming from God. And we have lost that today in the church. The sensus fidelium that you spoke about. What is the sensus fidelium? The faith of the people, the faith instinct that is in the community of the people of God. Where does the bishops and popes get their teaching? Where did they learn faith? From their grandmother, Pope Francis says, you know, my grandmother, I received my faith from my grandmother. You know, that's where he got his early faith from. Sure, he went to the seminary. But we receive faith from our grandparents, parents, uncle, auntie, family, community. So, how? By baptism, the Spirit is in you and can tell you right and wrong, truth and error. It's in us. So if the Holy Spirit is present in the whole people of God, in the lay, and the church says, in matters of faith, the people cannot be wrong. Matters of faith, not about the sun and the moon. No. Matters of faith. So if the Spirit is present and is guiding the people, then you ask, Why can't lay people be involved in the formulation of doctrine at the Synod on the Family? Isn't it? If that spirit is in me, and the popes and the bishops draw their faith and their teaching from the community, that we too can participate in the formulation of theology and doctrine. Why we don't think like that? Why we don't take our place as lay people? Why do we always feel inferior? Yes, Father, yes, Mother. I think we need to grow in maturity, we lay people, to know our faith and to work through our human issues, that we can dare to exist and speak the truth with love to our bishops, priests and cardinals and sisters. Because what is horrible is when lay people become leaders, they become clerical, like Pope Francis says. That's the worst thing that can happen. As you can see, I'm not following my text. Let's just jump. Sorry, I will come back to that. I think there are certain there are certain changes. While we all are sad, there's no. What do you notice the differences between the two, Benedict and Francis? Sorry?
You can see the modesty of the Pope.
That's Prada.
And this is a Prada. You know what's a Prada? Those people from Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam. Can the Filipinos explain what is Prada?
It is an Italian brand, and it costs a lot of money. You can actually make a down payment for a car already for the shoes.
Enough money, down payment for a car. Prada shoes, red leather. What else do you see the difference? This imperial costume, no? Red velvet with white legs, wool, nothing. Huh? No more the look of a king. No red carpet, right? What else? The gold pectoral cross, no? Not gold, simple. Huh? Alright? Yeah. Alright? So the Pope Francis has just saved a few $1,000 for a Catholic Church that he used to give sleeping bags to the poor around Rome. It's a real story, yeah? I mean, alright? Well, you know everything you read. I won't go too much into that. But I want to quote to you that something that Pope Francis says, no? He said in an interview, the resistance to the change, the resistance to the reform is now becoming evident. But that's a good sign for me. That's out in the open and there is nobody stabbing my back. No, he didn't say that. He said there's no stealthy mumbling when there's disagreement. He's saying it's good that people are talking and criticizing him openly or his ideas rather than to play the back. Alright? Very courageous. And then he goes on to say, I'm not worried, it's normal. If there is no differences of opinion, then there's a problem. No? We'll say, bravo, Holy Father. We'll keep praying for him. It's not easy to be a leader who wants to bring change. Yes. Now, another important thing in this whole thing is Pope Francis is starting to reform the central curia and